There's a force within you that modern society doesn't want you to know about. An energy so powerful that the ancients called it sacred fire, and which Napoleon Hill considered the secret behind all history's great achievers. It's a force you waste every day, unaware that you're literally draining your vitality, mental clarity, magnetic presence, and spiritual power. This force is your sexual energy, and today you'll discover how its conscious retention can completely transform your existence. But before we delve into this transformative journey, let me ask a question that will cut through all your mental defenses. When was the last time you truly felt your inner strength? When was the last time you woke up with vital energy pulsing through your veins, with crystal clear mental clarity, and a presence that made people naturally turn to you? If you can't remember, it's because you've been unconsciously sabotaging your own power by wasting this most precious energy. Modern society has created an invisible trap. It has normalized the constant release of sexual energy as something natural and healthy, while simultaneously keeping us weak, scattered, and dependent on external stimuli to feel alive. We live in a culture that glorifies instant gratification, that commodifies sexual impulse, that convinces us we are merely animals responding to primitive instincts. But this is the biggest lie ever told to humanity. Napoleon Hill, in his studies on the secrets of success, discovered something few dared to speak openly about. All great geniuses, spiritual leaders, inventors, and empire builders had one thing in common. They had learned to transmute their sexual energy into extraordinary achievements. They didn't deny this force. They recognized it as the most powerful of all human energies and consciously channeled it for higher purposes. When you truly understand what happens in your body, mind, and spirit during seminal retention, a new reality opens before you. Each drop of semen you preserve isn't just physical matter. It's concentrated energy, creative potential, vital force that can be redirected to fuel your mind, strengthen your body, and elevate your spirit to dimensions you never imagined existed. Semen, from the perspective of inner alchemy, represents the liquid gold of the human body. It contains not only the physical substances needed to create life, but also the energetic essence that, when preserved and transmuted, becomes fuel for personal transformation. Each ejaculation is a small death, a dissipation of energy that could have been used to build your reality, expand your consciousness, and manifest your most ambitious dreams. But here's what nobody tells you: seminal retention isn't simply about not ejaculating. It's about awakening to a new relationship with your own vital energy. It's about stepping out of the sexual unconsciousness that keeps most men in a perpetual state of weakness and energetic depletion, and entering a state of conscious power where every breath, every thought, every action is aligned with your higher purpose. When you begin the practice of seminal retention, something extraordinary begins to happen in your nervous system. The energy that would normally be lost through ejaculation begins to accumulate in your subtle body, creating an energetic pressure that naturally seeks expression through higher channels. Your neurons begin to be bathed in more refined neurological substances. Your pineal gland, the third eye of the ancients, receives an influx of energy that activates states of expanded consciousness. But the true power of seminal retention goes far beyond the physical and mental benefits. It's a practice that connects you directly with the sacred aspect of your masculinity. In ancient spiritual traditions, from Hindu Tantra to Chinese Taoism, and through European alchemical practices, the preservation of sexual energy was seen as the foundation of all spiritual evolution. It was the first step to becoming truly master of oneself. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to wake up every morning with an energy that seems to emanate from an inner sun. Imagine having a magnetic presence that makes people naturally drawn to your company, not because of something you do, but because of something you simply are. Imagine having mental clarity so sharp that complex problems dissolve before your perception, and a creativity so abundant that innovative ideas flow through you like water from an inexhaustible spring. This isn't a fantasy. It's the natural result of the conscious transmutation of sexual energy. When you stop wasting your vital force through unconscious and compulsive releases, that energy accumulates and refines itself, literally elevating your personal vibration to higher levels of functioning. Napoleon Hill called this the 13th step to riches, not just material wealth, but richness in all aspects of life. He observed that men who could master and transmute their sexual energy developed a kind of personal magnetism that made them irresistible in all their endeavors. They became natural leaders, visionaries, reality creators. But let's be honest about the challenges you will face on this journey. Modern society has programmed you to seek constant release. We are bombarded with sexual stimuli 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pornography has become so normalized that many men don't even realize they are addicted. Masturbation is promoted as healthy by professionals who don't understand the more subtle dimensions of human energy. When you decided to embark on the path of seminal retention, you are not just changing a habit. You are declaring war against an entire system that profits from keeping you weak and dependent. You are choosing to awaken from a collective trance that keeps most men in a state of perpetual spiritual adolescence. The first few days and weeks will be the most challenging. Your body, accustomed to regular release, will start to protest. Your mind will conjure up all sorts of rationalizations to convince you to revert to old patterns. You might experience what practitioners call turbulent transmutation, moments where the accumulating energy creates physical and emotional pressure that feels almost unbearable. This is where most men give up. We interpret this pressure as a sign that something is wrong, that they need to release, but this pressure is exactly what you want. It's the signal that your energy is building up, creating the raw material for your transformation. It's like the steam in a pressure cooker. The more pressure, the greater the potential for cooking something extraordinary. And at this crucial moment in your journey, as you're uncovering these profound secrets about your own vital energy, I want to extend a special invitation. If this knowledge resonates with something deep within you, if you feel you finally found the keys to unlocking your true power, then join this community of men who have chosen the path of conscious transformation. Hit the subscribe button now and turn on the notification bell, because in the upcoming videos, we'll delve even deeper into these teachings that can literally rebuild your life. You're not just subscribing to a channel, you're joining a brotherhood of modern warriors who have chosen to awaken to their highest potential. Do it now, because every second you delay is another second you remain asleep to your own power. The truth that needs to be told is that sexual energy is the most creative force in the universe. It's the same force that moves planets in their orbits, that makes flowers bloom, that drives all life forms to evolve and expand. When you learn to consciously work with this force, you're not just improving your physical or mental health, you're aligning yourself with the cosmos' own creative impulse. The ancients understood this. In Tantra, sexual energy is seen as Kundalini, the sleeping serpent of fire at the base of the spine, that, when awakened through conscious practices, ascends through the chakras, elevating consciousness to divine states. In Taoism, it's Jing, the vital essence that can be refined into Qi, energy, and subsequently into Shen, spirit. In Western alchemy, it's the prima materia, the raw material that must be transmuted to create spiritual gold. All these traditions point to the same fundamental truth. Your sexual energy is far more than a reproductive urge. It's your direct connection to the universal creative force, and when you learn to conserve it and consciously direct it, you become a conscious co-creator of your own reality. But how exactly does this transmutation happen? The process is simultaneously simple and profound. When you abstain from sexual release, the energy that would normally be lost through ejaculation is automatically redirected to other systems in your body. First, it strengthens your nervous system, creating a more robust neurological foundation for processing high-intensity experiences. Then, it fuels your endocrine system, balancing hormones in a way that you naturally feel more confident, focused, and magnetic. But the most profound transformation happens on more subtle levels. Your energetic aura, the electromagnetic field surrounding your body, becomes stronger and more refined. Sensitive people begin to perceive a different presence in you, even if they can't explain what's changed. You develop what the ancients call regal presence, a quality of being that naturally commands respect and attention. At the same time, your mind begins to operate at higher frequencies. Thoughts become clearer, intuitions more accurate, visions more expansive. You begin to perceive patterns that were previously invisible, to make connections that were previously impossible. Your creativity explodes because you have access to reserves of energy that most people waste. And then there's the spiritual dimension. As your energy builds up and refines, you naturally begin to have experiences that transcend the ordinary. Meditations become deeper, dreams more vivid and meaningful, synchronicities more frequent. You begin to feel a more direct connection to higher dimensions of existence. But don't be mistaken into thinking this journey is easy, or that the results come quickly. Conscious semen retention is one of the most challenging practices a man can undertake in modern culture. You'll be swimming against the current of an entire society that has programmed you to seek immediate gratification and constant release. There will be days when the energetic pressure will be so intense that you'll question your sanity. There will be nights when erotic dreams feel more real than waking life. There will be moments when every fiber of your being screams for you to simply let go and return to the familiar pattern of depletion and recovery. These are the moments that separate the true spiritual warriors from the casual curious. These are the moments where you choose between remaining an unconscious slave to your impulses or becoming a conscious master of your own vital energy. These are moments of initiation, tests that life itself presents to see if you're truly serious about your transformation. And here's a secret few understand. The intensity of these challenges is directly proportional to the level of power you're developing. Sexual energy is the most powerful force in human nature. And when you learn to master it, you're literally learning to master yourself at the most fundamental level possible. That's why all great spiritual systems include some form of work with sexual energy, because it's impossible to achieve true mastery without passing through this initiatory portal. But when you persevere, when you weather the storm of initial transmutation, something magical happens. The energy that once created an air turmoil stabilizes and becomes a constant reservoir of personal power. You develop what we might call a gravitational presence, a quality of being that naturally attracts opportunities, people, and experiences aligned with your highest destiny. Your ability to focus multiplies exponentially. Tasks that once require Herculean effort become naturally easy. Your physical and mental resilience seems almost limitless. You discover reserves of courage you didn't know you possessed. Projects that once seemed impossible suddenly seem inevitable. And then there's the sexual dimension itself. Contrary to what many believe, semen retention doesn't diminish your sexual potency. It multiplies it. When you finally choose to express your sexuality, whether alone or with a partner, the intensity and depth of the experience are unparalleled. You discovered you can experience waves of pleasure lasting minutes instead of seconds, that you can have full-body orgasms that don't result in energy depletion, that you can use sexual energy itself as fuel for expanded states of consciousness. Many advanced practitioners report experiences that can only be described as mystical during these conscious sexual expressions. Moments where the boundary between self and cosmos seems to dissolve, where they experience direct unity with the universal creative force. This isn't New Age fantasy. It's the natural result of learning to consciously work with the most powerful energy in the universe. But perhaps the most precious gift of semen retention is how it reconnects you with your essential nature as a man. In modern culture, masculinity has been reduced to caricatures. The playboy who conquers women, the workaholic who accumulates money, the athlete who competes for status. None of these images capture the true essence of sacred masculinity. When you master your sexual energy, you reconnect with deeper masculine archetypes. You become the king, the one who governs his inner kingdom with wisdom and benevolence. You become the warrior, not the one who fights external battles, but the one who has conquered himself. You become the magician, the one who can transmute a raw energy into refined manifestations. You become the lover, not just of women, but of life itself in all its expressions. This reconnection with sacred masculinity doesn't just transform you, it transforms everyone around you. Women begin to respond to you differently, unconsciously recognizing the presence of a man who truly possesses himself. Other men naturally begin to see you as a leader, sensing the authority that emanates from someone who has conquered himself. Children feel safe in your presence, recognizing the stability of someone who isn't a slave to unconscious impulses. And as you progress on this journey, you begin to understand why so many spiritual traditions guarded this knowledge as esoteric secrets. Not because they wanted to keep people in ignorance, but because they understood that this level of power can only be wielded responsibly by those who have also developed wisdom and compassion. A man who masters his sexual energy, but hasn't developed emotional and ethical maturity, can become dangerous to himself and to others. That's why the true practice of semen retention must always be accompanied by character development, cultivation of virtue, and service to the greater good. The power you develop isn't to be used to manipulate others or feed the ego. Is to be channeled into meaningful contributions to the world, into authentic love for those close to you, into the continuous evolution of your own consciousness. Napoleon Hill understood this profoundly. He observed that the great leaders of history weren't those who simply accumulated power, but those who used their transmuted power to uplift others, to create genuine value, to leave the world better than they found it. Transmuted sexual energy is the fuel for this kind of transformational leadership. And here's where we get to the heart of the matter. Semen retention isn't really about sex. It's about awakening to your nature as a conscious being capable of the deliberate direction of energy. It's about ceasing to be a victim of unconscious impulses and becoming a conscious artist of your own life experience. When you truly understand this, when you feel in your bones the truth that you are so much more than an animal responding to stimuli, something fundamental shifts in your psyche. You stop seeking salvation in external pleasures and discover the immense realm of possibilities that exists within you. You stop projecting your completeness onto other people, situations, or achievements, and recognize that everything you've ever sought already exists in potential within your own consciousness. This is true alchemy, not the transformation of base metals into gold, but the transmutation of ordinary consciousness into extraordinary consciousness. And semen retention is one of the most direct keys to this transmutation because it works directly with the most fundamental force in human nature. But remember, knowledge without application is just intellectual entertainment. You can read about these principles, you might even agree with them logically, but if you don't start implementing them in your daily life, they remain just pretty concepts without real transformational power. The journey of conscious semen retention begins with a single moment of choice. The moment you decide that you will no longer waste your vital energy in unconscious and compulsive releases. It begins with the recognition that you have the power to choose what to do with your own energy, that you are not a slave to biological impulses, that you are a conscious being capable of deliberate evolution. And as you embark on this journey, remember that each day of practice is an investment in your future self. Each time you choose to retain instead of release, you are literally building reserves of power that can be used to manifest your highest vision of yourself and your life. It won't be easy. There will be setbacks, there will be moments of doubt, there will be inner and outer voices trying to convince you that you're wasting your time, that you're being extreme, that you're denying your nature. But remember, these voices represent exactly the forces that want to keep you small, weak, and dependent. Your true nature is not that of a slave to impulses. It's that of a master of energy, a conscious creator, a channel for higher forces to express themselves in the physical world. Semen retention is simply one of the most direct tools to reconnect with this truth about who you really are. So today, right now, make a choice. Choose to stop wasting the liquid gold of your vitality on unconscious releases. Choose to begin accumulating and transmuting this precious energy into extraordinary achievements. Choose to discover who you can truly become when you stop sabotaging your own power. The path is before you. The energy is within you. The power of transformation has always been in your hands. The only question that remains is, will you continue sleeping in the realm of ordinary men, or will you awaken to your nature as a king of your own destiny? The future you've always dreamed of is waiting on the other side of this choice. All you need to do is take the first step, and then another, until the journey becomes your new identity, until the inner warrior becomes who you naturally are. Your awakening begins now. Your transformation begins today. Your journey to true mastery begins with the single choice to honor and preserve the most sacred force that pulsates through your being. The rest is just a matter of time, practice, and persistence until you become the most powerful and fulfilled version of yourself you always knew was possible. The energy is calling. The power is waiting. Your greatness is ready to emerge. The only question is, are you ready to answer the call?